Hi, I'm Millie Swan, Executive Business Strategist and Heart-Based Leadership Mentor to CEOs, business executives and people who are in business who are specialists at what they do. Well, this is the second video in a short course of 5 videos that will help you really re-establish yourself in your own business. This is one of the most foundational tools that I use in my business and that my clients use as well. For me, this tool really is so important. You really need this tool because it helps you come back to who you are, your most authentic self, and then also to identify what other people are and help to get them to motivate to work with you. And it just makes your life super easy. It's a first stage conversion client tool. It can also be a relationship building tool. Really, there are only 2 things in business. That is being your most authentic self and also being around the right people and building the right relationships, both in terms of your client base, your staff base, and also your suppliers as well. These are critical tools. Without them and without being really efficient and successful, you'll never successfully using them, you'll never really make it in business or in life really either. So it's my pleasure to be able to bring you this connection and motivation tool. There is a little PDF that's here ready for you to download that will help you, so feel free to stop this little video now and go and download this so that this can help you as we teach you the process of how to connect and motivate others around you. So let's get straight to it. It's really important that you be able to influence people and be able to build rapport with them, because from this place you can very much motivate others, and you can also influence the decisions that they make. You can help them see your side of what's required and how to get things really done. It can be really easy when you have a few basic understandings and a few fallback go-to tools on how to do this, and these are the things I'm going to give you now. Firstly, you need to have a quick, really brief understanding about some theory. And this is the understanding that everybody needs to feel loved and they need to want to connect. It doesn't matter who you are, but everybody wants it. It's true that people connect badly, and you can see this in people's behaviour, and you can also see when things aren't quite right. When people are in conversation or they're working towards something, they connect badly. Everybody knows what that feels like. They don't always know what's really going on. And it doesn't really matter when they're doing it badly. How do you connect with others and do it really easily and really well? Well, understanding that everybody needs love and connection, I'll explain these simple things to you. There's basically 3 stages of connection and 2 stages of love. The first part is the 3 stages of connection is really about learning to get respect for other people. And it's really so simple. The first stage is you might just know someone. They might just be your neighbour, you might not know their name, you might just recognise their face, and you acknowledge them. So you connect with them and they connect with you. The second stage of connection and respect is when you actually might know something a little bit more about them. You might know their name, you might know the football club that they are with, you might know a little bit about their family. But, you know, it might be just your neighbours or someone that you speak to or see a little bit regularly on and off. The third stage of connection, which is the most important one of all, is where you know someone more deeply. It might be a work colleague, it might be your family, it might be someone that you live with, it might be people that you have longer term relationships with. The really trick to this one is you start to predict their behaviour and you actually start to make assumptions about them and you stop asking questions about them. At this stage of connection, sometimes this is where things can really go off the rails. The key is you're making assumptions about how they're going to behave and you stop asking questions. It sort of sets you up for failure right at that point. There's 2 stages of love. And the first stage is where it can sometimes, when you first meet people, it can be really hot and it can be really fast. And I'm not talking only about romantic love, I'm talking about people that you connect with on a really deep level. You just have this instant connection. It can be also quite dangerous because often that does not transition into something a little bit deeper, because again, you start to predict behaviour and you start to make assumptions and you stop asking questions. The really second part of this is intimacy, and that's where the gold is. When you can know somebody and you can keep asking questions about them, you'll keep seeing into them. Intimacy. Into me I see. It's a really simple concept, isn't it? So whilst we don't need to love everybody, we do need to understand that we come from such a basic place that we all want to feel loved and connected. And when you understand that about every single person you meet, it starts to take the pressure off you, because you, every single person needs to have this feeling of love and connection. Sometimes connection is really bad, and we see this all the time, don't we, in bad behaviour. So we just have to accept that that's where they're at. But there are ways to turn that around really quickly. The two most important things to know is that when you connect with someone and you keep asking questions about them and you don't make any assumptions about how they're going to behave and what they're going to do, just keep asking questions. The second one really for me is the intimacy. That's the key. At that place, you can respect another person and where they're at, and you can also start to motivate them, and you can start to get them doing and moving in the right direction, generally for everybody, for themselves too, often. So if you have that basic understanding that there are really only a couple of things you need to know, that people need to connect and they need to feel loved, it's a really great basis for working out what's the next step. And the next step really is understanding people's personality styles. Remember, you just need to know, are you connecting with them? Are you continuing to ask questions? Are you not predicting behaviour and keeping yourself open to what people do and how they behave? And also, are you actually making sure that you are clear about where you want to go? Just make sure that you understand that love is what will influence people. If people feel loved and connected to you, you will be able to massively influence them. You'll be able to support them and help them, and you'll also be able to get them to really hear what you need to get done and where you need to be going in your own life and business. So really, the next step is to understand about personality styles. For me, there's 5 key ones. Really, there's 2 most important ones, and this shows up in about people are usually one more stronger than the other. This comes a little bit from Tony Robbins, but I have a slightly different bent on it, mostly from 25 years experience and my understanding around sociology and what really works with people. These personality styles, there's 5 of them, and you'll find them to be uncovered as people who are certain types of people, people who are significant types, and there's also variety, growth, and contribution. In reality, everyone's a little bit of everything, but when we're feeling stressed and when we're really under pressure, or when we're really wanting to move forward, we have one natural one of these that's more stronger than all the others, and we fall back into that very easily. For me, the top 2, being a certain type of person or a significant type of person, narrows it down really quickly. And essentially, if you can just get this 60% of the time right, you'll make your life so much easier. You'll connect so much better with people. They'll hear you, and you'll be able to hear them too. Really understand that certain type of people are the certain type of people. These are people that are most comforted when they have structure. They feel safe at home. They know where their next meal's coming from. They've got plenty of money in the bank. They know they've got plenty of clients. They understand there's plenty of work coming, and they feel really safe and supported in that structure. They're certain type of people. The second type is people who are significant. Now, these are people that are very out there. They can be highly creative. They are people that are not too concerned about money. They are very much about appearances and being seen to be very successful publicly, or at least in all appearances. It's all about them. Quite often, certain people seem to be based more around rules, and significant people seem to want to break the rules all the time. And it's just a lovely dichotomy that I find as a general rule of thumb way of very quickly working out what are the two differences. Yes, the understanding about someone who needs variety and growth and contribution, they're critically part of the whole process too. But if you can just look at someone and ask some few questions about who they are or what they're about, you can understand really quickly, are they more certain or are they more significant? And from this basis, you can really start to work with them. The most important thing, first of all, is to understand, what are you? What are you? Well, I'm someone who's highly certain. So I always like a bit of structure. I always like to know what's going on and what's coming ahead. I'm always open to plenty of ideas, but I like to know really what's happening, what the next plan is, what are the next steps. I love lots of ideas, and I can be highly influenced by people who are significant if they've got some great ideas and if they can explain their vision to me. So I know who I am, and from this basis I can start to really identify, are they like me or are they very different from me? Significant people, often for certain people you find you rub up against each other, and the opposite as well. Significant people just don't seem to get certain people. For example, if someone was a certain type of person, they would talk about their home because it's more comforting, where a significant type of person would talk about their house, and they would talk about the colours that are around it and what it is for them to have the house really looking great and the garden looking great, where a certain person might be just satisfied more that the garden's growing and it seems to be going okay. They're two of the most significant differences. If you can pick those two off, you're a long way ahead of understanding these different personality types. So if we understand that if we can just focus on simply a bit of personality type, the two top ones, which would be certain and significant, if you can decide what you are, one or the other, and you're never 100% of everything, there's always a mix, but if your natural bent when you are in a stress situation or you're under pressure, for your natural fallback, if you can decide if you're more certain or if you're more significant, then you know who you are. It helps as a great basis for working out what everyone else is. The trick is to work out with everyone else, keep asking them questions, a few open-ended questions. Just in the first few stages, particularly of getting to know someone, it's a great way to build rapport. You make it all about them. And so that's a really great way to really start to understand what people are and who they're about. I remember hearing years ago that someone said to me, I think it was actually on ages and ages ago, years ago, on an Oprah show, I heard something that was repeated where Oprah said, it's no business of me to know what other people think of me. And really, that's so the truth, because everybody else is so busy running around thinking about themselves. So when you're trying to build rapport with someone and you're trying to connect with them, one of the best things you can do is ask questions about them first. There will come a time where it naturally comes back to you, but it also helps people feel loved and connected because you're interested in them. It's not being a busybody, it's just asking open, general questions about them. And this is a great way just to connect. It makes people feel good. So good on you, Oprah. It was a great thing that she taught me probably about 15 years ago in something that I saw or read, I think, at the time. That leads me to the next step, which is about Chapman's 5 love languages. And people are always surprised when I mention this in business, but it's the truth. When you know that everyone needs to feel loved and connected, and they want to, you want to work with people and be able to influence people, when you come back to these 5 love languages, it really nails it for people, because through a gentle getting to know someone and a few questions, you can understand then what starts to motivate people, which is what the love languages are all about. It's how you work with what others' needs are and how you motivate them. But first, again, you must understand what your needs are. who you are. And from this place, then you can start to move forward and motivate others. First you must connect, then you must be able to motivate them. And from this place you can build enormous rapport and massively influence people. It is so gold. I have used this in my own businesses for many, many years. And it's how I love my business, because I know that I can then actually show people that I really care. The 5 love languages, there are really top 3 for me in business, and they are acts of service, quality time, and words of affirmation or words of confirmation. The other 2 are as important, but not so much I find in business. They are gifts and touch. And whilst that's really important, gifts and touch, you've got to be a little bit careful, obviously, about how you go about that. Often in business, men will handshake and that sort of thing. It is an important thing, but the top 3 for me in business are acts of service, quality time, and words of confirmation or affirmation. Well, what do these 3 top mean? Well, acts of service is when someone does something for somebody else and the other person acknowledges them. It makes that person who does the act feel fantastic. The second one is quality time. It's where you can give short amount of really dedicated quality time to the other person, and that allows them to feel really connected to you. It really motivates them, and it really allows them to build confidence in themselves to go forward on their own. The third one is words of affirmation and confirmation. And from this place, it's a really interesting thing. You need to acknowledge other people in a much higher level. You need to tell them that they look great, that they sound fantastic, that they are participating in all the things that are good around a business. It's really a key thing. People often forget sometimes just to say thank you and really acknowledge another person. For me, I know that I'm highly certain, as I said before, and I'm a quality time person. It's why I will always have an aspect of my business where I work with one-to-one clients. So the quality time for me is a really critical part of that process. It is really one of those things that once you understand who you are, then you can move forward. It's helped me enormously within my own relationships, also within my family. One of my children is a highly certain and also acts of service. And I can explain this very simply. I asked him to clean my car, and he did it sort of a bit begrudgingly. But when he did it, he came and he said to me, "I've finished, it's all done." And at the time, I was really busy and I was head down concentrating, and I just sort of went, "Oh, okay, great." And I could sort of see him go, "Oh," and he slumped off. He came back when I said to him, "Oh mate, actually just give me 20 minutes. I'll get this sorted and then I'll come down and let's have a look at the car." And he's like, "Okay." Now, because I'd made a promise to him, which is an act of service in his eyes, he accepted that that would be okay. For me, it's all about quality time. I needed to finish what I was doing and then be able to go and give him my quality time. So I did. I kept my deal. I went back down 20 minutes later with him and we looked at the car, and he'd done a great job. And so me to say thank you, thanks so much for cleaning the car, because when I'm in that car and it's like my mobile office, for me, it makes me feel really great when the car's clean. And without a lie, this kid stood up, I reckon another 3 inches taller, and you could see he felt deeply connected and really appreciated and loved at that particular moment. And that allows me then to go forward and be able to influence him at other times and in different ways, because I kept my promise for someone who is really very high in acts of service. It's very important for acts of service people that you do that. Often I find certain people and acts of service people and quality time sort of naturally goes together. When you look at significance, significant people often are words of affirmation or confirmation. Not always, but often they can be. So when we look at words of affirmation and confirmation, that's when you really acknowledge people on a much deeper level. You tell them that they're doing a great job. They never get sick of hearing it. You can tell them that they that you appreciate all their efforts and how much they're contributing to the growth of the business. They will never get tired of hearing those words from you. They are things that, you know, when you are doing, perhaps doing deals with people, you know, creating financial arrangements around deals with people, to be able to acknowledge other people's participation and how important that it is, and that without it, you can't get the job done, you can't actually get the gig done, and you can't make the deal happen. For people who have words of affirmation, to be constantly told they're influential is really a powerful tool. Sometimes people who are certain in quality time and they come up against people who are significant in words of affirmation, it feels exhausting sometimes to keep doing these things. But if you remind yourself and you stand in the place of understanding that when you want to connect and love others, you must do what they need, not what you need. And from that place, when you can actually pay it forward for another, what happens is you start to be able to build a deeper relationship with them and then teach them back what you need. It's so powerful, this tool. It takes a little bit of practice, and it just comes from the basis of connecting with people. Don't make assumptions about behaviour. Keep asking questions, and ask enough questions to try and line up with these tools and see if it works. I had a classic experience with a new client the other day. He's in the building game. He's got a great business and he's really growing it forward. And he said sometimes he doesn't quite get it right with some of his chippies. And so I said to him, so we talked through these little love rules that Chapman has, and he got it immediately. And he said, oh my God, about 3 of these guys are highly certain and they're also acts of service. I just need to tell them that I appreciate the extra work that they do to get jobs done on time, and sometimes when they stay back to really finish things properly, and how good the quality of the work is that they do. He started doing it, and he was absolutely shocked at the transition immediately of how these guys actually wanted to work harder, longer, more, and they were also both parties, the boss and the workers, much happier because he'd been able to connect with them. So when he had a challenging situation around a job that had gone a bit pear-shaped, he was able to then go back to the chippies and say, look, we need to change this. It hasn't worked out. It's nobody's fault, but we need to address it. And I know that you're going to do a great job. So what it did was it took all the shame and blame away from people who were really aligned with doing acts of service. It helped the guys really get the job done quickly. It took away any personality clashes. It was really a profound thing. Now the boss, he's someone who's quite balanced. He's a mix of significance and a mix of certainty. He can switch from one to the other. He finds though that when he's in boss mode, he's much more significant. He feels much more powerful in that place to be able to lead his team of guys. And so he also understands that people are functioning differently. It's worked really well for him. It's helped him motivate and get these other jobs done much more quickly. I'm going to give you a bit of homework around the connection and motivation tool. It's really important that you first actually understand who you are. Being certain or significant, it's not any better one or the other. It's just who you are. You can't change people, and so this is how they are born. So from this place, when you understand who you are, then you can really understand how you're motivated yourself, what you need to have to feel connected to other people, and from this place going forward, then you can also really understand what everyone else needs, and it makes your life really easy. The trick for me, the quickest thing that I learnt to actually spread this through my business was to understand who my family were, or who the 5 closest people were around me, because they're always going to be a bit of a mix. My sister, she's significant and words of affirmation. My father, he's certain and he's acts of service. My partner is significant and he's a mix of words of affirmation and acts of service. And so I have a real mix of different people around me. And what I can then do is create little avatars. And so when I meet someone immediately, I can ask a couple of questions and I can listen to their responses and I go, you're just like that just sounds like my son, or that sounds like my sister. or like my father. And from that place, I can really quickly identify what it is that they are in personality style and what really motivates them. It's really a lovely way to connect with people. It's been one of my greatest successes in being able to influence and support and help people. And so I want this for you too. The trick is look around your top 5 people and start understanding who they are and what they are. Then you've got a shorthand avatar tool to work with everybody else all of the time. It's the first thing you should do when you get to meet somebody. And from that place, it's really interesting what starts to happen. Just the basis of asking simple questions and, to get to know another person. But I guess if you're feeling really, really stuck and you want something more and you want to go fast forward, there are just a couple of places left now really for me to work with clients. And I'm really happy to do a strategy consult with you. Now that strategy consult will help you to get really clear about what the really underlying issue is. And we can never really work it out for ourselves. We always need somebody else to help understand and go through what that process is. When you understand what really is going on for you and how you can get unstuck, your speed in terms of picking up and the ease that you have in your business and life is just phenomenal. It has been like that for my own life and also for my clients, and it's I really love working with people on that basis. So please, if you feel that you want to work at another level, please contact me and click on the link below and book in a time, and let's see where that journey takes us. The next video, number 3 video, is one of my favorite tools, and people never ever teach this. I just don't understand it. It is a really fantastic tool that I call my anti-client, my anti-person, or perhaps just, I think, the anti-supplier as well. The concept is so simple. People always talk about attracting their ideal person, but sometimes it doesn't always work, and you just keep getting more of the same crap, more of the same stuff. So look out for the next video. It's coming shortly. It's a really super fast, super simple go-to tool. I really look forward to talking to you. Please contact me if you feel it's something that I can help you with. In the meantime, we'll see you soon.